Hi, everyone. I know some people will trickle in as the call continues. We have a couple people here. Just letting everyone on. Hope you're having a great Thursday so far. Just to get started with some quick housekeeping, welcome to our Montessori Town Hall. These happen every Thursday from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Um, the aim of these is just to provide a space for Montessori leaders to come together, talk about school leadership topics, and just connect with resources out there that are available within the Montessori space. A lot of what we do has to do with growing your enrollment, but we also like to invite thought leaders within the Montessori space to come and present. And today we have Tina Patel here from Noorana. She's going to be talking about just data and keeping track of data within the Montessori school. This is something that we have to deal with a lot in Montessori, so it's great to have a conversation on it. These are also very much open forum, so if you need to ask a question, you can utilize the chat throughout the presentation. We'll keep an eye on it, and at the end, we'll have some time for Q&A as well. If you're watching the recording to this and you have any questions, you can always reply to my email. It'll come from my email. And I'll also include contact information for Tina and the Noorana team so you can get in touch with them as well. All right, Tina, I'll pass it over to you so you can start your presentation. And as I mentioned to everyone else, you can utilize the chat if you need anything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. First thing, I wanted to start our seminar with just this one question. What is preventing you from being 100% satisfied with your school operations? And if you can, actually, I think I have a different question, right, Camila?
Yours is what is your, hold on. It's cut off in the picture. What is your biggest, administrative?
Yeah, so if we can,
Yeah.
if we can start with that, that would be great. These are your options. Whoops. Have you launched the survey?
I'm typing it in. I have to put it in manually, unfortunately. So.
Okay. So think about it. You have, while Camilla's putting it in, a few minutes to think about what are your biggest challenges when it comes to data collection. And once we launch the poll, we'll get a better idea of where everyone is. And that's going to help you. Jessica, thank you for turning on your camera. I love that. I'd like to speak with people instead of black screens with names on it. So if you're comfortable, please do turn on your camera. I think that will help me make it more personal.
All right, I think I have it there. But is it showing for everybody?
Do I need to stop share or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
See if it will. I think it should
There.
be there. Yep.
There it is. If you can go ahead and answer in the poll on the survey on your screen, that would be great. We have no answers.
Is everyone seeing the poll? Can you let us know in the chat if anyone is seeing the poll? I know some people just joined. Oh yeah, I'm seeing the answers.
Okay. I'm not.
So
So I
we
think it's
have,
asking me to submit. Okay.
I might have, do you need me to read it out?
Yeah, if you can, or if you can show it on the screen.
The thing is, I don't know if I can show it on the screen.
Okay,
It's because it's a pop-up for
no
me.
worries. Go ahead.
But it's 40% inconsistent data collection. It's 20% time constraints and 40% understanding which data points to track. So I guess those are the biggest. And we have some people here joining in just now.
Okay, perfect.
So we'll see if they answer. To those of you who just joined, we're just running a poll. So if you can answer the pop-up poll, just asking, what is your biggest administrative challenge when it comes to just information and data? So if you can answer that, um, it's multiple choice. Just pick which one is your current biggest challenge so we get an idea of what needs to be addressed.
Yes.
Okay. It seems that inconsistent data collection and understanding which data points to track are the leaders.
Wonderful. All right. So thank you for that. Um, I'm sorry, was it number one, number two? Which one has the higher, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, yeah. The
Okay.
highest was understanding which data points to track and
Okay.
inconsistent data collection.
Well, perfect, because that is exactly what we will be talking about today. What are the areas that we want to select? So before I get into that, just a little bit background on me. Um, I started my career way back in 1993. Started with working with Dr. Ann Taylor, where I learned about Dr. Montessori's work and learning environments. Forward that to 2007. So I have charter school and I have nonprofit at-risk children experience. But then I started my own Montessori One Academy in 2007 because I saw the need to set the foundation. And that is something I learned from working with at-risk high school children. We then opened up our elementary in 2015 and our Nido program currently. And in 2020, we opened our Ameren assisted living and memory care. So we do have an intergenerational programming that's happening. That's fabulous. And currently my daughter has now taken over the Montessori One operation. So that's given me some free time. And that's when I decided to launch Noorana. It's been in my brain for 4 or 5 years, the idea, and now finally decided, okay, it's time to develop and hired somebody. So I love this quote, John Tuckey. Data that you look at should tell you a story about individual child, a family, a staff, your levels, and your school as a whole. So the current state of data, what I found, at least in my school, it was that it was so fragmented. We had so many different tools that we were using. Some guides were using it on paper. Some were using the software that we at that time had. It was in multiple locations. There was inconsistency in the collecting of the data just because of the, some are using technology, some are still on paper, things like that. And then we didn't have one place to put all of the data so that we had one comprehensive data that to look at and analyze it. So data, if it's consistent and if it's accurate, should tell us the story without our biases. We all have unconscious bias. And if we look at data, is very black and white. And if we look at data to really see what it's telling us, then I think we put all the other side. So here are the areas that we currently focus on in data collection. And again, we do this, some schools do it in a organized manner, some are organic, some are anecdotal. We have the gamut. And so academic performance, attendance, behavior, and then social emotional development obviously are done by guides in the classroom, and then they're documenting it in the way. So it changes from a classroom to classroom even. You know, what same level, two primary classrooms will have two separate processes. We hardly ever, at least at my school, we were hardly ever documenting our interactions with our parents, and what are they thinking, what were they upset about, how did we handle it. So the need for a unified platform became very apparent for me. And so, and I already talked about Noorana, and if you don't know about Noorana, please let us know, because then our marketing efforts need to go up a lot. And I'm very forward and unashamed about talking about Noorana, because I saw the need. I was struggling with it. I didn't find a tool out in the, we all know the tools that everyone's using, but there wasn't one that told me the entire complete story where I can just sit in my office and have a picture of the whole school. And so that's when Noorana came into play. So goal with Noorana is to empower the educators, give them one tool that they can use so that they can better make decisions. It's also empowering us administrators to kind of see what is each guide, what are each classrooms, what is each level, what are they struggling with, and helping you connect, helping you stay connected with your school. Oftentimes it's hard for us to know what's happening in each classroom. This allows you to just see the whole picture. And it allows us to do what our missions are, which is commitment to the children. My thing decided not to forward now. There we go. So the impact of data on student can be very tremendous. We can identify a pattern if we had data all in one place. We can make informed decision because we're identified the pattern. We're now sitting back, looking at that pattern and say, what do I need to do? And how do I move forward with this? And that allows you to personalize individual child's needs and their learning at the same time. Using data can help us create a more inclusive environment. We all have unbiased, unrecognized, we all have biases, but sometimes we're not aware of it. So this data will allow you to track participation, not just for children, but also parents and also for your staff. Address disparities. What is different in what is standing out to you in what area and why? The question why should always be present for you. And then it helps us promote equity. Are all children getting the same amount of attention? Are the children with different learning styles or different personal needs, are we addressing them individually, or are we just, kind of creating a blanket statement? Here are the 4 things that we make sure that we are doing at Montessori 1 specifically. The data that we collect has to be consistent and has to be on one platform. And like I said, we do use Noorana because we're the ground zero for Noorana development. And so we're our own guinea pigs. And so all of our guides, all of our teachers and classrooms, even parents are using Noorana. There's a collaboration between, like I said, it's about bringing parents, the teachers, and administrators together in service of the child. So data collection helps you do that. The most important thing I think about data is that it has to belong to the child. What I mean by that is, when a child moves from toddler to primary, that data should move to the primary with the child. Oftentimes when we have files or notes in a binder or something, it stays with past teacher. It does not move on to the current teacher. And I think that's where we also miss our opportunities to kind of allow the new guide to see what is coming, what were the challenges and strengths of the child at toddler level, and where do I need to start off? So we're not wasting time trying to assess, where is this child? What do I need to focus on? You can just pick it up where the previous guide left off. So what do we do with the data? We have to turn it into actionable items. I mentioned pattern recognition earlier. Attendance, academic performance, behavior, all of those are related. Is tardiness, chronic tardiness affecting this child's social and emotional development? Maybe there's a correlation there. Once we know that there's a correlation, we can now figure out, okay, what are they? What are the things that I need to do as a teacher? We as administrators need to do. Is it bringing in the parents and having a chat about the chronic tardiness? Or is it about something we can do in the classroom where when a child comes late, let's have a friend go welcome them in, help them get started. What is it going to help that child feel more comfortable so their social emotional development is maintained? We're all visual people. I think if we see something constantly, we'll be able to act on it more frequently and quickly. I think tracking progress and communicating insights and what the teachers are doing in the classroom to help the child and communicating that with the parent is absolutely game changing. We did that in Montessori 1, and parents are completely on board. Our retention has gone up, parent satisfaction has gone up, and staff satisfaction and retention has also improved. So those are actual results that we're seeing at Montessori 1. So how do we get started? And I think this was one of our biggest concern in the survey is, how do we get started? So here, I'm going to give you some very simple, basic steps that will help you. So first thing we need to do is assess how we're doing and what we're doing. And so it's, where are all our data? Are they all over the place? Are they in one location with the main office? Is it with every teacher differently, or is it following the child? Now, I know what we're gonna, and I used to think this as, hey, we have these files that travel with the child, right? Toddler guide will, when the child is transitioned, will take that file and give it to the primary guide. Guess what happens? And this is what happened at Montessori 1, is the new guide looked at it for maybe a day, and then it was forgotten. And then you just keep adding progress reports, narrative reports, and so on and so forth. It didn't mean anything. It wasn't giving us our actionable insight. Training. How do we train our guides and even our classroom assistants? What data are we collecting? How should we be collecting it? When should we be collecting it? And what do we do with that data at the end? And then it's a continuous improvement process. You have to keep that going. It's a cycle. It never ends. As the child grows, child develops, child moves forward, we expect all of the new guides to do that. Here are a few steps to help you get started, and you will get a blank template, and I filled out, these are just examples that I put together, but you will get a copy of this, a filled out one and a blank one at the end of this. I'll send it to Camilla and she can forward it to you guys. So you will have something, no need to worry about taking down the notes or anything. And I already talked about assessing the current practices. Understand where you're starting. And I already, where is the data? How are we doing it? Who's doing it? When are we doing it? Next important thing is, what are we collecting? We need to define what areas we're going to focus on. You don't want to focus on all of it at the first time. Let's take small chunks. If there is child behavior issue, you see a pattern there, like, more, and we're noticing this post-pandemic. There is a challenge with the children starting back to school. We're all seeing it. So maybe start there. What are the things that are top 3 things that are happening that we need to address immediately? So let's start there. Third thing is, how are we going to collect that data? What does our process look like? Do we have a consistent process that everyone around the school is aware of? Do they understand and do they know that it's everyone's responsibility to help us collect data? It's not just the classroom guide and the assistant. It's all of us. We notice things, right? Walking around the classroom, observing, we're walking around the schools, we notice, we hear. So we can also contribute to that. We go in and observe on a regular basis, or at least we hope that we do. We always plan for that. Things happen on a day-to-day basis. That tends to fall off. But it's what I did at Montessori 1 is I made it an expectation of all guides and associates. Doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be, time consuming, but at least on a daily basis, take a moment, take 5-10 minutes, pause, and just observe. You can observe one child if you're struggling with a child. You can observe groups of children, your environment, which areas are noisy. And I have, quiet math work right next to the snack area. Well, I've got loud, active activities next to what we need to provide for the children in the math area. Are they next to each other? What is that doing to the child who's trying to do the math work? So we're suddenly seeing the pattern, right? Oh, maybe I need to change the classroom layout and see if that helps. Unless we observe, we're not going to be able to see things like that. Analyze, and I already analyzed it for you, is analyze what are we seeing and why are we seeing it? What is the cause and effect? And then implement the chain. If I rearrange my classroom, move the snack area to a different place. Okay, let's try that. Observe some more. Is it working? Yes, great. Let's leave it the way it is. But if it's not, let's not go back to what it was, because that was causing an issue anyway. But what about this new plan that I did isn't working? And it's almost never going to be, oh, it's the entire thing. It's not going to work. But it's figure out what are the nuances in your new process that will not be taking place. And so then just adjust the one tiny thing that's not working, observe again until you find that right fit. And we talked about continuous improvement. It is a commitment for ongoing observation, ongoing reflection, and ongoing analysis and your data collection practice. Please don't do it for we're going to do it for 1 month or beginning of the semester and then everything's fine. This is a never-ending process. So that's for the classroom, right? What does it look like for us as administrators? And I love Simon Sinek. If you haven't read his book, please find it. He's got multiple books and they're all great. Find one and read it. And it's about not making decision in our office or even one-to-one with the guide. It's about allowing the community to have access to what is happening so that everyone can contribute. And then once you have that clarity, can you move forward with the purpose? What is the mission of our school? Well, it's to serve every child independently in their need. So if you have data that tells you whether you're doing that or not, And if you're not doing it, that will tell you, okay, we're not meeting our mission or vision right now. What do we need to do to always make sure that we're there? And John Dewey, again, a great school leader, is it's not about us being perfect. I think we tend to want to do that, at least me. I'm OCD, and I want everything to be perfect. Working with children, we know there's no such thing. So let's make sure that we're not driving for perfection, but we're driving for data that's going to help us reach our mission. So how does the data that we do or don't do impact our school operation, right? If we're not looking at our registrations data, we can't adjust our enrollment strategy. Where in marketing do we need to focus on? Is it the toddler that's falling down? Is it, our primary that where are we losing children? Where are we not focusing on? And so when you work with Camilla and say, here are the patterns I'm recognizing, then Camilla now can have a better understanding of where she needs to help you focus in your marketing efforts. It's and that's going to help you sustain the growth. What are the resources that we currently have? What are the resources that are lacking? And do I have funds to help get the new resources? But if you're not looking at the enrollment data and see where the vacancies are and why, and retention is affected, then you can't get more resources to, have the funds to get new resources. And so it all ties together. And if you fix your enrollment strategy and are able to get your resources allocated and everything's looking great, now you can focus on the long-term planning, right? Where do I want to take the school organization? What is it going to look like 1 year, 3 year, 5, 10 years from down the line? So our role as administrators should always be forward thinking. We shouldn't be just in the here and now. This is what I mean by resource allocation. If you're in the weeds on a daily basis, you need someone to help you with some of those things. You don't need to wear the multiple hats that we all know we wear. You don't need to be the maintenance guy. You don't need to be the plunger user. Have some resources, so if you look at the enrollment strategy, fix that, hire more resources to help you take those tiny things off your plate. Now you can focus on the long-term planning. Why does it matter? It matters because it gives you this insight into your school's operation. Are we running it efficiently? Are there a lot of gaps? And again, it's not about numbers, it's about understanding trends. So one of the things, once we started looking at data, we realized that Montessori 1 is there is this ebb and flow between our toddler and primary classrooms. 1 year toddler's super heavy and primary is low. Next year, guess what? If I'm planning for high toddler, it's flipping. Then that following year, because I planned for toddler, of course, there's not much need there. I got primary. So that allowed me, looking at past 5-year trend, allowed me to say, yeah, this is pretty consistent. And so now what are we doing to maintain that balance? And it helped us. We need to open one classroom for where the bottleneck is, which was in our toddler. We had too few toddler classes in relation to the ratio with the primary. And so we fixed that. And now it's not perfect. Again, we're not driving for perfection, but now we have a way to sort of balance that equation and not worry about it on a year-to-year basis. Here is the breakdown. Like it or not, a payroll is going up. It keeps going up. Mine started at 48% way back. Now it's at 76%. We know that's the reality. That is our future now. So how are we going to, do we reduce the overhead? Do we reduce our resources? Or do we focus on the income? Answer is obviously, let's focus on the income. Let's get more. How do we increase our capacity? It's not always about raising our tuitions because that's not fair to our parents. But sometimes it's a reality, right? And so how do we find that balance? Do I need to open another classroom? Do I have space for that? Things like that. And like I said, are we in meeting the enrollment goals? Are there vacancies? How many vacancies do we have in each classroom? Guess what? All those vacancies equals a giant number at the end of the year. And that's lost revenue that you could use for salary, overhead, and resource allocation. Is our income covering our, we need to fix the windows. There's a draft, but do I have enough money? What do I need to do? That's my goal next year. What do I need to do now to be able to be put in new windows next year? And then resources are always, a great gift. If you can have a resource, special education teacher, a therapist, a counselor, whatever in your organization, those are benefits that we all wish we had. Those are gifts. And so can we afford it? How are we going to get there? So there are only 4 things that I focus on as an administrator. Registration numbers. I look at my registration numbers like a hawk every single week. I look at it 2-3 times a week. Make sure that we are where we are. When are we going to have, this mass exodus? Obviously, it's the end of the school year or over the summer. What are we going to do? What program do we need to implement now so that we have this consistency? A lot of schools are 10 months only out of the year. But guess what? We're getting revenue for 10 months. Our expenditures aren't for 10 months. We're still paying salary. We're still paying rent. We're still paying utility. So all the savings that we have over the 10 months that we've made diminish over the summer. So what do we need to do to not do this? We want to be able to keep that going. So income is a main thing. What are our income sources? Do we need to do additional programming? Do we need to figure out a creative way to do some fundraising? What are my monthly trends? Does it go down during the holiday season? Are parents just like, nope, we're going to keep the children home? Does it pick up at a peak time and then it dips again over the summer? Those are the trends that you want to take a look at it. What are my staff expenses? And I think we make the mistake of only looking at salaries. All your benefits. Do you provide 401k, health, dental insurance, your workers' comp, your payroll taxes? All of those should be included in your expenditures. Are the classroom resources? What is our annual budget? And because our budget is too small, is it affecting the classroom environment, how it looks, how parents see us as an organization? Do we have that wet, stain in the tile that just bugs everybody, but we can't do anything about? Things like that. And then more importantly than that, are we able to afford sending staff to refresher course or professional development of their choosing? Not something I dictate, but we want personal growth in our staff too. Hey, I want to learn how to go do water painting. Absolutely, because that skill you're going to use in the classroom with the children. Go for it. School will pay for that. But if you have that idea, then you can help your employees or your staff, your teachers, assistants grow personally as well. And then this last column, I think, is where we need to focus the most. what is the average cost per student? So you're taking the income, you're taking the expenditures, you're figuring out the average. This one, no one looks at. I've, even in my Vistage group, which is a bunch of CEOs who are way bigger organizations than mine, no one was looking at the income per employee. One, and true example, one of my colleague, multi-million-dollar organization, right? Over 100 million. His income per employee was $5.82. And he's struggling, trying to figure out, until I brought that up. And he's like, oh, they were too top heavy. They had too many, the ratio. He's like, well, I'm like, what is your ratio supposed to be? And so then he goes back. Now that you know, this is what the issue is, now you can fix it. What is your revenue versus expense ratio? Are you spending too much or more than you're bringing in? We don't want to be in the red. We want to at least be on an even basis. And then what did I project? What was my budget like last year? And what did I actually spend? And so when I plan for the next year or next 2-3 years, what is the percentage difference? How much do I need to, and where do I need to fix? So those are important. Streamline the process. I think that is the only way we're going to be able to use data to our benefit. Have I mentioned Noorana can help you do that? Find a uniform platform, one that will help you track everything, not just, oh, I have one for a lesson planning, record keeping. I have another one for parent communication. I have a third one for tuition payments. We need to look at it with as many few, and I'm not saying Noorana, but I am saying Noorana, but we all have our favorite platforms. Can we cut out of 10, maybe bring them down to 3 that are really helping us look, so that we can now start analyzing the data, make it into smaller chunks so it's easier to do. Set a reporting schedule. How often am I going to look at my enrollment data, my monthly financial reviews with my bookkeeper or accountant? What do I need to do on a quarterly basis? And then what am I looking at the end of the year, so that I can do next year much better? Involving your team is extremely important. And I believe in transparency, well, at least at Montessori 1, because once I started being transparent, there is this notion that all people have that, owners are just taking money in and they're hoarding it, they're not giving it out. When you start being transparent, like, this is where the money is going, here's how much we're bringing in, here's what we're spending, this is why I can't get the new windows for the school. When you start being transparent, I think everyone feels the ownership, and they take it to that next level where now we feel like a community. We're working towards a goal. We want those new windows next year. What do we all as collective need to do to help us get there? So, but regularly review what data you're collecting. Is it accurate? Is it efficient? If it's too time consuming, there's something wrong. This should be easy. It's already things you're doing on a daily basis. You don't have to do anything more than just look at what you're doing. This isn't an above and beyond effort. It's part of your everyone's daily job that they're doing already. And I've already mentioned the transparency. I think that really, even with the board members, communicate the financial health, even with parents where it's appropriate. If they're coming in and say, I love the program, I love what my child is learning, I just want to go find a cheaper option. Be transparent. For the money that you're spending, you're getting these qualified teachers that very few programs around here have. Here's their training, here's what they're doing in the classroom, here's the classroom assistant that's meeting your child's daily need. Once I started communicating that with parents, it was, obviously I did lose one or two, but majority of them then stayed. Yes, you get what you're paying for. And if I'm complaining about the payment, it's going to only affect the school program. And if the school isn't there because they're losing so much money and they're about to shut down, then guess what? My child's going to stop learning. So all of those things are related. Here are some hopefully easy steps to help you get started. Define what you want to look at. These are the things, like I said, I look at. And then set up a way for you to print out reports, look at the data that's already being entered by teachers and your bookkeeper and your enrollment coordinator, and schedule regular reviews with them. There should be monthly, at least, with the enrollment coordinator and your bookkeeper. What are we doing? Where are we doing it? And why are we doing it? And then analyze it together and put a plan in place. So these are the ones that I'm going to just go through it, but you will get this. These are the templates that I will be sharing with you. Is what are the data points again? Do we have a wait list? How big is it? Why, and we all know we can have 50 deep wait list. By the time we get to them, they've already found another program and they don't want to change. So it's important to keep an eye on the wait list and keep it very short. So if we can accommodate our wait list more efficiently, that's just money coming in. What is our attrition rate? We tend to lose children for the final third year of primary, or if they stay for final year into elementary. How much are we losing? How many students and families are we losing? How many are staying? Those that are staying, why did they stay? What were the positives about our program that they decided, yes, this is worth the money? Use that data with those that want to leave. And then you find that balance. Income and expenditures, I already talked about. Are there other income sources that we can think about? Maybe an after-school program or holiday program or weekend program. I don't know. Anything that will help you bring in more income. Spend time on your expenditures, the P&Ls on a monthly basis. Where are we spending a lot of money, and is it necessary? Where can I cut cost here and still not affect my program? It's not a race to the bottom. I want to be very clear with that. Is when we're looking at cost saving measures, it shouldn't affect your overall mission. It shouldn't affect the quality of your program, because then we're just going down to be compared with the childcare that's just down the street. We don't want to do that. We want to still be able to maintain the quality of our program, quality of our staff, stay true to our mission. But maybe people aren't turning off the lights when they leave the classroom. Are they on all the time? Yesterday I walked in here and there was a faucet just running low. I don't know how long that was going on. Walk around, take a look at that. That's absolutely make everyone aware of these things. And let's get that cost down. The water bill and electrical bill are our biggest, one of the biggest overhead expenditures. And then efficiency is just that. Where can we be more efficient? And like I said, these two things, the cost per student and income per employee, if you start looking at that, I promise you're going to find a pattern. And it's going to give you an insight that you hadn't thought about before. And then, like I said, please remember, it's not a race to the bottom. I don't want you to compromise your program just for that. But there are many, many ways that we can cut costs and still maintain our program. And then take action. Make a strategic plan based on the data. Don't just, if you're in the shadow about what's really happening, you're just playing a guess game with actions you're taking. But let's make it more informative. Commit to continuous improvement. These are the last things I'm going to leave you with, is review your process regularly. Is everyone contributing? Who's not contributing? Let's go talk to them. Why are not? What are your struggles? How can I help you? Well, those kind. It's not about, demeaning them or firing them or anything, but there's a reason why they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So let's find out what that is. How can I help you do this better? Do they need training? Maybe they don't know how to do it, and then importantly, adjust and adapt to meet your school's evolving needs. We all know 1 year is never the same as the previous year. So what's changed? Why has it changed? The economy's changed. Our parents have changed. The generations of parents we're serving now were different than what I started Montessori 1 with. And so we're constantly evolving. Technology is changing. The expectations of children, whatever the feeder school is, they're changing. Are we staying on top of that? And then just take action. I think just take that next step. Okay, this is what we're going to do. It could just be one thing. We're just going to fix this one thing this semester. Once you fix that one thing and you see improvement, that's going to help you get more bold and okay, next semester we're going to take 2 things, and so on. Empower your leadership team with the tools and the data that they need to make a decision that's going to impact your program overall. That's it. And this final quote is absolutely a perfect ending, is data is of no value unless it gives you insight that will lead you to take action. It's all about just being aware of where and why you need to take action. And if you have any questions, that's my email at the right here, noorana.app, if you wish to take a look at our software and what we can help you do. And then, Camilla's here. Once you figure out your marketing strategy, where you need help, you're already part of Nido marketing. Allow them to help you. But if you know where your needs are, they can do their job better. So open it up for questions.
Tina, this is Wally.
I'm sorry?
This is
Hi,
Wally
Wally.
speaking.
How are you?
I like the last quote that you had about the data is of no
Yes.
value.
Yeah.
I would just put it somewhat differently. I said data is just noise unless you mine it.
Unless
right?
you mine it. That is
Same
correct.
thing, but yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
quote.
Thank you.
Just to follow up in terms of what I heard from you,
Mhm.
I mean, I see your tool as what I'll call long-term or strategic planning tool, which is, I think, to try to take a school to a different level, over time, you need to do many of these things that you talked about.
Yes.
Now, most of the schools utilize software, for example, which are like a school information system that talks about how many students, what program, how to collect tuition and that kind of stuff, which is very, very operational stuff. And then there is a other set of software that many schools use are for academic planning, right? I mean, how to do your class lesson planning, how do you record the improvement, basically academic development of a child and all that. But what I'm seeing is that your is a higher level tool for people to really look into a bigger picture. Did I get that placement right in terms of the way you presented it?
Yes. And that's exactly the point is, and I call that the fragmented data, right? And that's exactly what you're pointing out, is you have different software, different platform, different people gathering data. But do you have a place where you can look at that, have a bird's eye view of your program, and go as you know, in nuances as a one specific child, and what are we doing? So you should be able to go from the bird's eye view down to very specific issue and be able to help, because now you have the whole picture. This child is struggling with this, you know, in this classroom, and it's been going on for a while. We've tried everything. If you had the bird's eye view, you can say, you know what? There's an opening in that classroom. I mean, we normally don't want to do this. We don't like doing this. But guess what? At the end of it is, it's about the child. So if this guide isn't meeting, if there's chemistry isn't there, or if this guide isn't fully qualified to address this child's need, but I have a vacancy in a classroom where this guide has done this before and has successfully done this, why not move that child? So, but unless you have that visual, the whole picture, you're not going to, it just doesn't come to us, because again, we're so busy in our day-to-day, right? How many of us have come in thinking, oh, day's going to be great, I'm going to sit at my desk with a cup of coffee and just write my emails, and then something happens, and guess what? By the time you come back, coffee's cold and you'd forgotten what you were about to do. So it's human nature when you get super busy, as we all are. It's easy to lose that, but let the software help you. Let it be your assistant in identifying patterns, looking at data, helping you consolidate the data so that you can make a more informed decision. Did that make sense?
The way I see it, Tina, is that I think for your software or your approach that you talked about, probably will work if you offered what we call consulting services along with it. In a sense that you have this, but I think people need some hand-holding, some support in terms
Absolutely.
of how do you basically devise a process to get things done. Because otherwise, what happens here, have something, I have do things with it, and I just totally get lost in the process
No,
and I
I
just give
get
up.
it. Yes. And
But you don't
absolutely.
offer that, right? Do you?
We do. We not consulting. I'm not in the consulting business, but we do offer training with Noorana. We do offer, you know, helping you get set up, helping to train all of your staff on starting to use a platform. How do you collect data? What data should you be collecting? We're collecting how many times a child is practicing a lesson before they acquire it. Our first few schools that started using Noorana came back saying, oh, that's too much work for my teachers, you know, but what are we currently doing? We're just saying, oh, I presented this on this day, and then child acquired it on this day. Maybe it was 2 months later, maybe it was 3 months later, maybe it was next week. But we never know how many times the child practiced it. When you start counting practices now, which is very core to Montessori, we want children, once they've been given a lesson, they need to do repetitions, except we're not counting the repetitions. So let's start counting the repetitions. Now, suddenly, the guide can see, oh, Charlie's getting math concepts very quickly with very few practices, and I need to now figure out a way to keep him challenged. Because guess what? If you don't have that insight, Charlie's just going to be bored, and then deviant behavior starts, and we all know where that ends. Oh, and on the flip side, hey, he's struggling in language, and he's just bored with it. He'll take the material, but because he's struggling, he doesn't understand, he's just not doing it. Assistant's going to think, well, he's just being lazy, or just, you know, is not motivated. Except the fact would be, if I looked at our data, I would know that it's not just this one lesson, it's all the lessons in language. So now you can address the child's need much better. And so, yes, we do offer training. We do offer what data it's, and like I said, it's not just the classroom data, but it's also administrative data. And then eventually we'll have social, emotional, physical development that will help you identify, early intervention. We want to help with the early intervention. So if a toddler isn't speaking at a certain age, but hey, he's multilingual. We all know when children speak multi-languages, it's not that they're delayed, it's just they're actually excelling. They're just processing it differently, and they're just not ready to spit it out yet. And so it's those kind of data that I'm talking about, is everything from a big picture to a very minute detail. But yes, to answer your question, Wally, we do offer training. And I'm always around. I am happy to help and help you take a look at it. Diane, did you have a question? Diane Woodyear, I think you turned on your camera.
No, sorry, I left the meeting and came back because I'm now in my car. So
Oh, okay.
no, I have a question at the moment. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Any questions? Thoughts, feedback?
I thought it was really interesting. I think it's so important to be collecting this information, especially for schools who are just looking to be more efficient. Any business really needs to do something like this in terms of just getting feedback and things like that. I remember it was difficult at our school when I used to work in a Montessori school to collect this data. There wasn't anything like this. So, yeah, I think it's great.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and start wrapping up. I will send a follow-up email tomorrow with the recording and any resources that that Tina shares. Oh, there's one more question here from Rupali that says, does Noorana use AI?
It will, yes. Give me till June and we will have all of that. We're going to start with basic. Pattern recognition will come eventually because we need enough data in there for it to start identifying pattern. So first step is, let's start the unified platform and let's start connecting data. What we are looking at right now for immediate is our mission is work less, connect more. We know all our teachers are stressed and anxious. Let's help them do this in real time as possible, so they're not taking work home. In order to prepare for Noorana's development, we spoke with so many teachers and administrators, right? And I was shocked at how many were taking work home or working on the weekend just to catch up or just to get ahead. And that shouldn't be the case. Work-life balance matters. This is why they're getting burned out. So if we can help them, gain an hour a day, guess what? That's an hour that they can spend with their family. So that is, to answer the question, AI will come. We will definitely have it in one of our products. So we're offering our products in tiers. So the final tier, I forget, Brian, what are we calling it? You just said it in the meeting last time, but I forgot.
I think it was still up for decision, but I think Brooke was looking at
But we will, yes. We want to make sure AI isn't offered just for the sake of offering AI. I know a lot of other software are doing that just because it's a buzzword. It's new, it's exciting, it's what everyone's talking about. I would rather include AI that is more meaningful for each school and each teacher and each administrator. I never want to do anything just because it's the most popular thing right now. I'm not trying to win your business doing that kind of thing. I want to offer Noorana truly as a tool that will help you and your program the best that we can. And it's a continuous improvement process. So we will also be continuously improving Noorana and making it better and better as time goes on. But I think what we have right now to offer you is a great way to start data collection for parents, your staff, and children.
Any other questions, comments?
That was a great question. Thank you.
All right. And again, your website, Tina, it's Noorana.app.
App.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Again, I will link that in the follow-up email newsletter that we send out tomorrow with everything. So thank you so much to everyone who joined, and thank you so much to Tina and her team for joining and sharing this presentation. It was really informative and something that's definitely needed in the Montessori space. Next week, we're going to be joined by Carolyn Sweet from AIM Montessori, and she's going to be talking about different ways that you can support your staff and really the importance of teacher and guide and just assistant development within the Montessori space. So if you have any questions on that, we look forward to a conversation. But thanks again, Tina, and everyone from Noorana for putting together this presentation and sharing it to us.
And you, Camilla and Elizabeth, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Take care. Bye.
Bye.